This is Life Strategies with Monique.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Life Strategies with Monique. I'm your host, Monique Pettaway, and today I have with me Dr. Foley. She is an educator, author, and speaker who is on a mission to specially craft messages that inspire and motivate women all over the world. She is also an author, and I'm going to let her share that with you. Good afternoon, and welcome to the show, Miss Foley.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, share my story with the world.
Well, I'm excited that you're here to share your story with the world, too. So with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive in. Go ahead and tell my listeners your story.
So at the age of 3 days old, my twin sister and I were placed in a foster home due to the fact that my birth mother she's schizophrenic. She's addicted to drugs. And so the foster home that we were placed in, the guardian or which I refer to as mom there, she already had 15 kids of her own. And then she did foster care on the side. And what ended up happening was they were going to separate my twin sister and I, but she never had twins. And so it just all kind of aligned to the point of where we were placed in the foster home. And needless to say, with her having so many kids and different kids in and out of the home, it wasn't always easy. So I don't want to say we were poor because poor is a mentality to me. And so I just would say we weren't that well off. And so a lot of things were difficult in terms of just day-to-day survival, and I know that these types of things, affected my self-esteem. So I felt like for a long time, just moving from maybe, elementary to high school and different things like that I didn't know who I was. I didn't have confidence. I didn't even really understand what it meant to have confidence. I feel like I didn't understand what it meant to be loved because of the situation or how to love others and different things like that. But I did know that I always wanted more. And I could vividly remember, even in me walking to school or just random thoughts or times when things weren't going as well as they should have been, that always stayed in the back of my mind. I used to talk to God all the time, like, God, this can't be it. This can't be my life. But for a long time, I didn't realize that I possessed the power to change that. And so, like I said, me not understanding who I was or loving myself or those different things, I feel like that caused me to make several mistakes, which were good mistakes now that I'm older. But it also gave me the strength to push forward. And so when I was able to finally leave the foster home, at one point in time, I thought that, because we were so not well off, that I wasn't going to be able to go to school, different things like that. I wasn't made aware of scholarship. Like I didn't, when I said I didn't know anything, Monique, I didn't know anything.
Wow.
And so I just feel like along the way, the only thing that I did know, and that was because my teachers constantly reinforced it or because of my grades, was that I was smart. So, you think badly about how you look and, different things like that, maybe because you're not receiving attention from the popular crowd or the boys or the different things like that. And so the only thing that I held on to for me was my mind. And so once I realized how powerful that was, I said to myself, you have to use your mind to get out of this situation. Like it all kind of clicked. And, long story short, I ended up going to college and first semester almost flunked out, was put on academic probation because everything was so new. We were so sheltered. Mm-hmm. She was so strict and it was just different. I just grew up different. And so got out there in the real world, didn't know anything, fell on my face a lot. But I still always got back up. So, I say this to, my former students that I run into now, that education saved me. And I know that it did, because if I wouldn't have had the determination or, like I said, me having these conversations with God a lot as to saying, just guide me, or am I doing the right thing? Because it seems like I'm always making mistakes, but when you don't have anyone there to tell you right from wrong, or to direct you down the right path, you have to, God teaches us through experiences. And so I think that is one of the main things that inspired me to become a teacher. Now, because I didn't have, high self-esteem, I was very, very shy, very, very quiet. And then once I, got my bachelor's degree, I was like, okay, I could do this, and I was like, I'm going to keep going, and then so when I got my master's, and then I was like, I did it, and then I was like, I'm going to go all the way. And so I went ahead and got my doctorate, and it was very difficult, but I still, it took longer than I wanted it to, or I thought it ever would, but I still pressed forward. So I think that's one of the main things that inspired me to go into education, because, we are responsible for our generation, and I just wanted to have a direct effect or a direct connection to the generation. Mm-hmm. And so during a large part of that, you start learning about relationships, and I had never been in a real relationship and different things like that. So Monique, once that happened, I fell on my face again, just trying to, is this
life happens? Life happens.
How is love? Does he really love me? Like, what does this look like? And I found myself in a very dark place, and that's when I started writing my first book, because it was almost like an escape for me. So it took me 10 years to write my first book, and I never thought that I would publish it, because I always said to myself, well, nobody's going to read what I write. Nobody's going to really care. But then I just got to the point of, well, somebody might. And so I took the steps to get it published. And when I saw how easy it was, Monique, I just was like, really, you sat on this for 10 years? 10 years,
Yeah.
Been had this out, the world could have been read it. And then after that, I just was inspired to write another book. And then so within me writing these novels, they're entertaining, but they're also very educational. I said, it's time for the world to hear my voice. And so I embarked upon my speaking platform. I can remember when I first started, every time I'm speaking, my voice is cracking. It still cracks sometimes, and different things like that. But I do feel like this is what God wants me to do, because he's pushing me out of my comfort zone, and I'm learning a lot about myself. So a lot of the things that I thought I would never be able to do, I'm doing. And so it's just transforming me into the woman that I'm slowly becoming. And I'm just hoping that, I can create a legacy for my family that's not here yet, and I just want to be able to make my mark on the world, because tomorrow's not promised. I've seen a lot of my students come and go. And so, maybe about a little over a year ago, I had a student that was so smart, Monique. Like, sometimes she made me feel dumb as the teacher. She was that kind of kid that was really, really smart. And we would have these conversations about life, and she would always encourage me. She was doing so much to be so young, and she ended up dying. And it was just like, it was devastating for me, because we were so close. And, she was supposed to help me at my book signing, these different things. And that kind of just shifted my perspective about everything. And so now I just feel like I have to seize the moment every day. And so every day is definitely not easy. There are more trying days than breezy days, but I'm still going to continue to press forward until I get to where, I'm just trying to figure out what all God has put in me. Like, what have you put in me, God? Like, how high can I go? How great can I be? And so that's just become my daily mission for life.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And you're in education, and I've been in the education sector myself for a very long time. And I think one of the things that a lot of people miss is what you said earlier. And you specifically said education saved me. And I think the mentality of a lot of our kids today is they don't see the value in education, but there's sometimes that one child, that one kid that, let's say for each one, reach one, teach one. And it's kind of that mentality that educators have to take on, because as we know, education is not easy. And look, everybody everybody can't be in that arena. It's not for everybody. And so it is a difficult place. So with that said, what has been your greatest struggle in that sector of education?
I think my greatest struggle has been, because the students are only with us so much time in the day. They're with us a large part of the day, and you try to pour into them, and you pour into them until your hair turns gray. And then, but you often forget that they still have to go home. And then over the summer, they're still home. So what are they being exposed to then? So I think it's just me really trying to change their thought process in terms of how they think about education, in terms of how, they feel how far it'll take them. Because some students, like when I talk to them now, they'll say, well, I don't want no student loan debt. That's the first thing a lot of them say. And, let me tell you, Monique, if anyone has it, it's me, but I still have to tell them, like, it's still worth it. It's still worth it. Like at the end of the day, you want to be responsible for your learning, because you want to be someone that is constantly learning, because the world is changing every day. So I think it's just getting their mindsets to shift in terms of, how you have to be when you're operating in the world, how to be excellent, how to get to what you ultimately want to do, different things like that. And so, and to really get them to trust you enough to believe you, because some students don't do that well, and I understand. But like I said, I just feel like it's our responsibility. If you're an adult, I feel, regardless if you have children or not, if you interact with the kid and you see that they're on the wrong path, like at least put forth some effort to try to direct them down the right path. Because I could have gone either way. Like when I go back home to Gary, Indiana, I love my city. It made me who I am, but it's nothing there. And many of the people that I went to high school with, they aren't doing too much of nothing has really changed, since we graduated from high school and different things like that. And I often think, not that I'm better than them or anything like that, but at what point did you decide that where you're at was good enough for your life? Like, why don't you possess the desire to do more, to be greater? And, so to really pull out or to see what God has put in you. And so, that's just my mission as an educator. I'm no longer in the classroom, but I still directly work with the students, and it is very challenging. But if I reach one, I'm happy. If I reach one, I'm happy. So, yeah.
So how has your upbringing, because you can connect with a lot of kids based on your background and how you were raised, because every child hasn't had that experience of, being in foster care. So you're able to connect with a different group of kids. Because where I teach, we do have a lot of kids that are in foster care or may not have the best of backgrounds that they're growing up in. How has that helped you in the educational arena?
I think I just always, if I see a kid, I feel like I can instantly, even if I don't have like a lot of interaction with you, I feel like I can instantly see how I felt within some of those kids, how I felt growing up, how I felt like life wasn't fair. Why did I have to be in this situation? Why don't I have my parents? Who is my dad? Who is my mom? Who am I? And so I think I gravitate towards that, to say I was there, but look at me now. I was there, but look at me now. And so,
yeah. And I think that is so important for teachers or educators to be able to have a connection with their kid, wherever it may have been, because we all have a story. We all have experienced something. And there is something somewhere in our life where we can connect with a particular child, their circumstances, to actually have that sympathy, for them to truly understand. Because yes, when those kids come to school every day, they are coming from some difficult backgrounds, some tough places. And when they come to school, that is their safe place. That is their safe haven. It is the place where they say, you know what, I'd rather be here versus than being at home. So education is so important. So for you, how has that changed you all as an individual?
I think I just really realize and understand now that everything I went through growing up, despite how difficult it was for a reason. And, it's directly in alignment with my purpose. And so back then, of course, when I was younger, it was just always why, or I'm mad, or, but now I know everything that I went through, good and bad, it was for them. That's why we have different experiences in life, because somebody is waiting on us to help them. And so, I'm just honored, to be put in a position to help those students that are in similar situations or have similar feelings, or, just are looking for someone to listen to them or to help them. And so I just know that everything that I've gone through, all of the struggle is because somebody else is going to be in the same or not a similar situation. And I need to be there to help them. That's why I went through it. Because sometimes, I get angry. I used to get angry at God and, like, really, but now I know why. Now I know why all of those things happen, because I see these kids and, like I said, I just see so much of my childhood and just how I was in them. And so it just compels me, like, it's my responsibility to help them, So.
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give an aspiring educator who's actually, thinking about going into education? What advice would you give them if they're getting ready to go into this career? What are some things that they need to know as educators to make sure that they're more prepared when they go into that classroom?
I think one thing is to never make assumptions. We can look at students on the outside and just think different things, or, even make assumptions based on their behavior. But it really is about reaching them and establishing a level of trust, because once they trust you, you can get them to do about anything. And that includes your schoolwork, your homework and different things like that, because the kids know you don't care about them. Mm-hmm. They may feel like this job is just a paycheck, or, I've had students say, well, that teacher's just a teacher because they're off in the summer, you know what I'm saying, and different things. So they know, they pick up on all that just in your interaction, how you treat them. And I'm not saying that establishing relationships with the students is going to be easy, because it's not, but that's something you have to continuously work on, and know that in the end, you're saving them. Like, so you have to save them, you have to make it. And from, I've always led with my heart in the classroom, even with the students that tried me every day, Monique, but you still have to lead with your heart. You still have to know that tomorrow's a new day, and you don't know what they went through last night. And so you just have to, especially depending on where you teach. I teach in a very low income area. And so the kids can cuss you out on Monday and come hug you Tuesday morning, just based on what they've been through. And so
yep.
You have to always keep that in mind, and, just don't give up on them or speak negativity into their lives about what they can and can't do. Because a lot of students don't do the work because they've been told that they can't, or they've allowed a test score to determine that, and they've just rolled with that all their life. Like, well, I know I can't do it, and so I'm not going to even try to do it, instead of having somebody pour life into them and let them know that they can.
Awesome. So you mentioned you're an author now. You've written 2 books. Tell my listeners about those books and what those books are about.
So the first book is entitled Blue, which stands for Black Love Uplifts Everything. And, when I wrote that book, it's when you look at your first book, you look at your second book, you go back, you be like, wow, I wrote that, And I'm not saying that it's a bad book. It's still a great book full of great lessons, but it just explores 3 different couples at a college, and how while we're growing up, we sit back and say, I can't wait till I'm grown, and different things like that. And then you become grown. You're like, man, I want to go back. And so just how the decisions you make affect your life, even your decisions from your past, how they can come back and affect your life. And so how you have to be smart about everything you do. You have to give considerable thought to everything that you do, because your life decisions, it determines your outcome, and so we have these 3 college couples and the different mistakes that they've made, or the choices that they're making now, and how they're trying to navigate through that and life. And so there are a lot of life lessons in that. And then, so, in the Bible, I feel like God is a big fan of relationships, not just romantic relationships, but just relationships, period. That's what it's about. And so both books center around relationships. In my last book, Inevitable, which I released about 1.5 years ago, it centers around relationships as well, but as an adult, and how your baggage from your past hinders you, but it's never going to get left behind. Like, you have to confront the baggage from your past in order to be, to be able to be in healthier relationships and things like that. So those secrets, or those things that you never thought anybody would find out about, when you meet the love of your life, can you forgive based off of that? Are you able to move forward despite their past? And so, I'm not just saying this, Monique, but, there's some very great books, with great lessons in them. And, this last book, my last book, has been getting rave reviews. And so I'm just really trying to do a lot to push that out. And hopefully I'm trying to turn it into, no, Monique, I am going to turn it into film. And yes, I'm just finding my way. I'm finding my way, just trying to tap dance on my gifts and see where I can go. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So what do my listeners need to know for the future?
For the future, all your listeners need to know that everyone has a purpose. You were not put here to just exist. Somebody is waiting on you to help them. So it's up to you to take that extra mile or that extra step, despite the difficulty, to tap into your gifts, so you can thrust them into the universe. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has purpose. So, and you know, I know that's easy to say. Some days I wake up, Monique, and I'll be like, yes, I know my purpose. And other days I'll be like, man, what is my purpose? You know, and so it's not easy. You know, it's a journey. And so you just have to be, you know, mindful of the things that you're doing. Like I said, you have to speak life into yourself, not necessarily look for others to do that. And, you know, I have a strong relationship with God. And so I think those are the types of things that you have to remember. It's so easy to forget because life is hard. And that's what I try to tell my students all the time. You all are so quick to grow up, but life is hard, you know. And now some of them, they come back to me and they be like, Dr. Foley, you were right. I know, you know what I'm saying? But you didn't want to listen to me then, but that's okay, you know. And so, like, despite the difficulty, there's something at the end that's waiting on you. And like I said, somebody is waiting on you. So despite whatever this situation is that's out of control, whether it be financial, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be within your career, somebody's going to go through the same thing, if not something similar. And you just have to be ready. You have to put yourself in a place to be able to assist others. Like I always say, I want to be somebody's solution. So if you have a problem, you can come to me and I can help you, because that's why we're here, to help each other. So it's not necessarily about, oh, I'm competing with you, different things like that, money, even though money is good, you know, but it's not everything, you know, and I know that now. I just used to think, man, if I had money, I wouldn't have any problems. And I still don't have money, Monique, let's be clear. But
we're educators, look.
But, you know, it's bigger than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Avis, thank you so much for being on the show today. My listeners out there, I pray that you have heard everything that Avis has said about education and being yourself and overcoming. Dr. Foley, tell my listeners how they can get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you, you know, get your book, have you out for speaking engagements. Tell my listeners how they can reach out to you.
Yes, ma'am. You can reach out to me via Facebook at Avis Foley or on my Instagram page. I am Dr. Foley. My moniker for my writing is Bella Black. So you can reach me at I am Bella Black. My website, www.dravisfoley.com. You can, if you have a question, if you need some advice, whatever you need, I am here to help in any way that I can assist. And my books are both on Amazon. The first one is Blue. The second one is Inevitable. Make sure you all check that out and leave a review. And yes, everybody, you have a purpose. Keep moving forward. Never doubt yourself. The things that you want for your life, you have to put that out into the universe and then go after.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, listeners, you've heard it from Dr. Foley. She's got some great books out there. I hope you go out there and check her out. She's available for speaking, and she is a master storyteller. She didn't tell you that, but she is a master storyteller. So please make sure after the show that you go to the show notes and get all of her information and reach out to her. So until next time, to all my listeners, stay educated and empowered.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Life Strategies with Monique. Contact Monique Pettaway at www.moniquepettaway.com or info@moniquepettaway.com.